So, like I was saying when we were waiting for the panelists, that the national pension system is often recommended as an effective retirement solution primarily because of its low cost and flexibility. And this is especially for private employees who might not have other pension options. Uh, but it has seen a fair amount of flexibility. There are new things on the block, and we'll see how it progresses over the years. But the question that I often get asked at Outlook Money is that, should I just invest in NPS and will that be enough for my retirement portfolio overall? So today our panelists are a mix of the NPS industry and the financial planner industry who might be able to give us varying views to be able to help us to make a decision that really works for you. So I'll start from the other end with Ms. Tandon. Suparna, what do you think? Do you think national pension system makes retirement planning accessible to a lot more people? Is that one of the benefits that you would list? And what are the other things that might make it attractive and something that you can fall back on for retirement?
First of all, I wanted to thank Outlook Money for giving me the opportunity to be here. And it's a great privilege to be here with esteemed panelists also. So to answer your question, first of all, I would like to do some context setting. When we talk about NPS, it's a pension product. So what is the context that we should talk about pension? So just a little bit of data that I would like to share. If you know, in India today, 1 out of every 10 citizens is above 60 years of age. If you look at the India Aging Report, this number will become 1 out of 5. That is, 1 out of every 5 Indian citizens by 2047 will be above 60 years of age, which means that the demographic dividend that we are reaping right now is going to change in the next 20, 30 years. There are certain other changes which are happening. For instance, the genderization of old age. If any of you have read the LASI survey, 2018, women tend to live longer as compared to men after 60. So around 2018, you had something like more than 50% of women who were living beyond men. That means about 50% of women above 60 years of age were widowed. For men, it is only 15%. If you look at the data for people above 80 years of age, about 87% of women would be widowed, and that number would be around 30% for men. So there are a lot of demographic changes which are happening already and going to happen, which means that there is a need to take a hard look at ensuring financial security, dignity in your golden years. So in that context, pension and particularly NPS becomes very, very important. Now the question was, is it accessible? Is it inclusive? Is it demographic? So it ticks all these boxes. When it comes to accessibility, anyone who has a KYC, a valid KYC, can open an NPS account. So it was first started for the government employees some years back. Then by 2009, it was open to the corporate and the all-citizen model. Yeah, one more fact that I wanted to tell is that pension becomes more important for the unorganized sector, because for the central government and the state government, it is compulsory. But if you look at the fact that more than 90% of the labor force in India comes from the unorganized sector, so that sector is what we need to target, the gig workers, the self-employed professionals. Coming back to NPS, why is it accessible? Anyone with a KYC can open an NPS account. So initially, it was meant for people above 18 and up to 70 years. But now with NPS Vatsalya, even a newborn child can have an NPS Vatsalya account, which the parents open. And at 18, on attaining maturity, it gets converted into a normal NPS account. So that's accessibility. You can open an NPS account simply by going to the NPS Trust. You have your KYC, you go to the eNPS portal, you open your NPS account with the click of a button. or you go to a POP and your NPS account gets opened. That's how accessible it is. When it comes to democracy or the democratic nature of the NPS, it's the most cost-effective pension product across the world. The cost structure is just 0.005 to 0.009% for a subscriber, depending on the scheme that you are choosing or the sector that you're choosing. If you compare that with a mutual fund investment or any other investment option, that would be somewhere in the range of 1.5% or even higher. So if you're investing the same amount of money over a period of 30 to 40 years, you are saving that much in cost if you're investing in NPS. So there are so many other features which one can talk about. You can port your scheme. It's flexible. You can port it across any pension fund managers. Right now we have 11 of them. You can port them across various schemes. You can, depending on your appetite, risk appetite, and how much return you want, you can choose a scheme of your choice. So it's flexible, it's transparent. If you want to know how well your money is performing, you just have to go to the NPS website and you can compare the returns of pension funds and schemes across periods of time. You can calculate backwards. If you want to know how much pension you want to draw, say after 30 years, and how much you should save, subject to a certain amount of return that you would like to have or the annuity that you would want to get at retirement, you can plan, you can calculate forwards and backwards. So it's transparent, it's flexible, it's portable, it's easily accessible, and that's why I think it's a very efficient and accessible product.
Okay, that was quite a comprehensive explanation, and people now know NPS properly, I'm sure. But Shriram, coming to you, you are the pension fund management, and you are managing the funds. How is equity, how well is equity doing in NPS, especially in the context of the low cost that we are talking about?
Thanks to Outlook Money for this advocacy for this absolutely important product, which I believe needs to be the bedrock of every single financial plan that advisors would be making. Coming to returns, and I think Suparna ji is very well articulated the features and flexibilities that NPS offers, so I'm not going to go down that path. So in terms of returns, if you look at NPS, most of the private sector pension funds came into existence between 2011 and 2013, right? HDFC Pension, we published our first NAV on 1st of August 2013. So we've completed around 11 years now. And so let me share some data with you. So in these 11 years, and I don't want to use point-to-point returns because this is a very learned community of advisors that I can see here and end customers as well. If you look at rolling returns, there are 280 rolling return periods for this 11-year time horizon. 100% of the times the product is delivered upwards of 11% per annum, right? The highest return is around 15.6%. The average return is 14.3%, and that's HDFC Pension Fund. And I'd like to think that most of the other pension fund managers that have been around for the last 10 years, which is 4 private sector pension fund managers have spent 10 plus years now in the industry. And I think it compares very favorably with the actively managed large cap mutual fund universe.
That was my next question. And
yeah,
I'm
so
glad
it compares very favorably. In fact, NPS Trust publishes a report, and we have a regular reviews with the NPS Trust and with the regulator. And one of the comparisons that we make is how does the return compare with large cap mutual funds? And I'm happy to share with you that if you look at life to date returns, and this is one product where investor return is equal to investment return. And which is because of the fact that it's got a beautiful feature of no exit, which I think is the most powerful feature of this product. And therefore, you can get in, but you can't get out till you get to 60, which I think is very, very positive. And therefore, your return will be the same as the return that the fund house is delivered or the pension fund is delivered. So in terms of returns, I think it compares very favorably. In fact, the standard deviation of pretty much all the pension funds since inception is upwards of 1, right? Which means that it is doing its job in a manner which is, after taking into consideration the risks around equity. And of course, I can get into details on what's the universe and so on and so forth. But suffice to say that in terms of risk-adjusted return, it's delivered exceptionally well over the last 11 years. I know it's a short period of time, but I think it's done exceptionally well.
So coming to you, Krishan, and I have a slightly different question for you. because FPSB obviously, issues the CFP certification, and a lot of advisors, churns out a lot of advisors. So despite the flexibility and the returns that we just heard about, the uptake of NPS still is not that high. So are CFPs, the basically people who are into the advisory business and recommending products perhaps, are they trained enough in instruments like NPS?
Thanks, Nidhi. And first of all, let me thank you and the Outlook Money team for inviting me here. This is a very, very pertinent question. And if we look at the CFP professionals and the CFP certification itself, we cover retirement fully. We have got a full module on retirement planning, and we ensure that NPS and all the relevant areas which are related to retirement are being covered in the curriculum. The second thing is that I would like to make a statement here, and why the penetration is low is because we are educated, but we are not financially educated. Yeah, most of the Indians, right now, they are not financially educated. We might have done a PhD or a MBBS or maybe engineering or whatever. We are not financially educated. And most of us, we do not understand these topics. So the objective of a CFP professional is not only to obviously recommend products or consult with the clients, but their major objective is to educate the clients towards their finances. Because when we look at retirement planning, right, and retirement planning, people say that, okay, when should I start planning for my retirement? And I would say that you should start planning for your retirement at the time of your first salary instead of the last salary. Most of us, we start post the last salary only, and that's the reason why the uptake is low. In fact, most of the products which are being sold right now in terms of retirement planning, especially the NPS itself, most of us, we take NPS for the purpose of tax saving. I think time has come for us to start understanding that this is something which is beyond tax saving. This is about our life. This is about our legacy. This is also about playing for the second innings beyond the age of 60, right? And because there is second innings and third innings also, our life expectancy has touched around 73. Yeah. And look at our politicians, they live beyond 90 also. So practically the time has come that most of us, if we start planning for a retirement and live life beyond the age of 60, through the right education, I think it will play a very important role in terms of making India the Viksit Bharat of tomorrow very soon. Yeah.
Sure. So, coming to Kiran, you are a practicing SEBI registered investment advisor and, of course, a CFP as well. You deal with clients on a daily basis, and I'm sure a lot of them will seek retirement planning from you. What is your experience on the ground with NPS? Is is this product in itself adequate for overall retirement planning?
Well, Nidhi, that's a very interesting question. When it comes to selection of products for retirement, no doubt retirement is one of the biggest goals in any individual's life. But if you see it from the perspective of the kind of clientele that we serve, they have so many options. So NPS is probably one of the options that is available to them. As practitioners, when we evaluate products for retirement or for any other goal, there is a basic layer of identification of products which is based on probably safety, liquidity, and returns, right? And beyond that, then we go on to other nuances like costs, investor behavior, taxation. So a lot of these are not in our control. So when you come to a combination of these kind of things, there are several options which are available in front of the client. So NPS could be a mix, it could be present in the mix for retirement, but because there are so many other products available and people, probably the behavior is slightly different, they would not want to choose NPS. That could be the cause. Now, coming to the other side, what my esteemed co-panelists were mentioning on terms of cost, on terms of, the kind of returns that are being generated, or the kind of longevity which Suparna had mentioned. So all these factors do become important. But what we need to understand is that we are also looking at a much broader clientele for this product. So the clientele that we serve is a very minuscule clientele which is available to us and which actually comes to us for advice. But there are so many people beyond that for whom probably NPS could be one of the best solutions which is available, because there are so many people who probably don't have the discipline to continue something that they're planning for their retirement. There could be cases where people start saving for retirement, but they pull out the money for some other causes. It could be something as frivolous as going on a vacation. So if you understand that you are in that kind of situation where you feel you will not be disciplined enough to save for retirement on a continuous basis, I think a product with a lock-in works best. There are other people whom this product could be suitable, wherein there are other family members who could force them to pull out the money which they're saving for retirement. So for those cohorts also, it will be a very good product. But when it comes to a mix of products, yes, we need to evaluate on different parameters that are available. And as advisors, we serve a very small percent of population that is available to us. So definitely the uptake in our kind of clientele is not that much.
Okay, right. So we are running out of time. So I have a very quick question that I want to ask all of you, since the discussion is on retirement planning and of course NPS also. But so what do you think, Suparna, you can take it first, that what do you think is the ideal way to do retirement planning?
So I'll try to answer that to the best. Ideal way to do retirement planning is basically to diversify your choices. NPS, I was listening to the other panelists. We are not saying that NPS or mutual fund or this. So any sound financial planner will always say that you must invest in a wide variety of instruments. And considering the fact that one is going to live longer, and rather because of the family structure changing, families becoming nuclear, medical expenses going up, the need to have cash flow after the period when you've stopped earning, that's very, very important. So yes, NPS can be one of your investment options. It's not an either or, it's not a binary. Having said that, why NPS among other pension products? Because it does have the flexibility of withdrawal also. So it's not that, so I was hearing today also some people saying is once I put my money in NPS, it's stuck forever. No, it's not like that. So you have a tier 1 account and a tier 2. You can also open a tier 2 account. So the tier 1 account has certain limitations in terms of the number of withdrawals you can do during the lifetime as a subscriber. But the withdrawal process is extremely easy. You just have to fill a form and submit it, and you can withdraw a certain amount of money. There's a limit on the number of withdrawals. But if you park your money in the tier 2 account, which is an additional kind of an account, there you can withdraw money, and that is tax-free. You can withdraw any amount of money any point of time. So that's for the flexibility part. But having said that, the USP of any pension product and that of NPS is that minimum 40% at the time of exit is meant for an annuity, and let me tell you that's very, very important. Because that is going to ensure once you've withdrawn the 60% corpus, that 40% is going to put in an annuity in an ASP of your choice, in the annuity plan of your choice, which will leave you with a steady cash flow for life, depending on what you choose, and then it goes to your spouse or whatever, depending on the plan you've chosen. So I believe it has a lot of advantages and should be considered as part of a bouquet of products.
Sure. Sriram, I want to ask you a slightly different question. Again, very quickly, is that UPS is something that is, coming up. The government has proposed it, and we are already kind of concerned about the uptake of NPS at the scale that it should be, since it has flexibility, low cost, etc. Do you think that will have impact on this, and what is the way to kind of increase the uptake of this product?
Firstly, I think the statistics, if you look at the last 3-year adoption versus the 3 years prior, retail is picked up by retail is almost doubled, right? So we're opening double the number of accounts that we used to open in the, let's say, pre-22 period versus 22-25 period. In corporates, the adoption has gone up significantly. It's gone up by 3 times, right? So adoption is certainly increasing. Can it be faster? Of course it can be. And I think the advisor community, if there are advisors sitting here, must embrace this product, because this is the most client-centric product that you can ever offer to your client, and that I'm saying with a lot of conviction. With respect to UPS, I think that addresses a very small segment of central government employees at this point of time. Therefore, just to be very clear, UPS is meant to address the long-standing demand that the old pension scheme needs to be reinstated for government employees. So it's limited to central government employees, absolutely no implication of that product on private citizens. all the flexibility, and Suparna ji so eloquently sort of summarized all of the features. I think if you've not subscribed to NPS, you're missing something, and I think it should be a bedrock. And I do appreciate Kiran's point about multiple products that are available. Fully appreciate that. But I think if you look at each of the features that she spoke about, I think it's got the best of every single financial product, be it liquidity, be it safety, be it regulation, be it taxation. Exceptionally powerful product, and I think it must find a place in every single Indian's portfolio.
Sure. Krishan, one thing that you would want to highlight or advise people about who are on the road to retirement planning?
If we look at the road towards retirement planning, and it's very interesting that it's not the end of a highway, but it's actually the start of a new freeway for you, expressway. And it is said that if you do not plan for it at the right time, you will struggle. See, it practically say today if I'm at the age of 59 and tomorrow I'm touching 60, I cannot stop wearing the brand of watch I wear today, or maybe I cannot stop going to the restaurant or a movie theater, or maybe for the holiday which I used to do before I was employed. So if I have to plan for all these things, right, I need to start early, and I think this has to start very, very early as possible. I think this needs to be taught to everyone, and we are going to ensure that we go ahead and teach all the students across this country and the working professionals that, okay, NPS and retirement planning is a must for you. It's like having a glass of water, right? So when we are thirsty, we need water. In the similar way, we need retirement planning if we are looking forward to a long-term life. Yeah.
Right. Kiran, your last word on how can one start the journey towards retirement planning if they haven't already?
Well, I would say let's go back to the basics. We have all learned the compound interest formula in school, where the end value depends on the rate of return and the number of years that you're investing. So for retirement, earlier the better. And people keep focusing on the return part of it, which is totally beyond our control. Nobody focuses on how much you're putting in, right? So I think if we start focusing on how much we are putting in and select a asset class which gives you decent returns to reach your goal, I think we should be there. The focus should be on how much we are putting in, the investment amount. I think that is something that we keep forgetting, and we have to go back to that formula and come back to the basics again.
Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. It was a short session, but information packed. So a lot of takeaways for all of you. Thanks a lot.